Michael Yo's got his own show. Michael Yo's got his own show. If you're looking for a place to go, the only place to go is the Yo Show. The only place to go is the Yo Show.
Hey, what's up? It's Yo. Welcome to the show. Make sure you subscribe, put the stars in, leave comments. Anything else I'm missing, Brian? Anything else? You take so long to talk.
I think you got it.
I got it. Why does it take you so long to talk, Brian?
Takes me a long time to think.
Okay. Well, that is true statement. I love Brian. He is the producer extraordinaire of this podcast. All right, so do all that good stuff. My special, I Never Thought, is coming out March 15th. So definitely check that out. Go to michaelyo.com or subscribe to my Facebook or YouTube page. But I'm happy because this next guy, I love it. I met him on Chelsea lately back in the day. Mo Mandel. What's up, my friend?
What's up, man?
You're at the Comedy Cellar this week.
Comedy Cellar in Vegas.
Have you ever done the New York one yet?
I have not. And honestly, I've never done like a full week in Vegas.
Really?
No.
Oh, man, it's draining. It's draining.
Well, I'm pretty stoked because yesterday was the first night and they gave me a card where I can go eat for free in the employee cafeteria.
Yes.
That might be the best showbiz break I've caught in 5 years.
Right.
I mean, it's just amazing.
And that's cafeteria. It's not the greatest food, but it's free food.
It's pretty good.
Yeah,
you know, it's free. It's like you wake up, you go down there.
Oh, they have breakfast too, right?
Yeah, it's nice. So that was a big score for me. I feel like I feel like I've made it.
And you're making money on top of that.
Dude, I mean, I'm basically Mark Cuban right now.
There you go. I want to talk to you on day 4 or 5 when you're like, I need to get out.
Like, dude, if I have to eat any more of this orange chicken, I'm going to kill myself.
So now, are you still on the journey of trying to have a kid? What's going on?
Oh, man.
Have you accomplished this year?
No, me and my wife have been, I don't know the last time I talked to you, but yeah, we've been just trying for over a year. I've been
watching it on social media.
Yeah, today, literally before this, I was on a Zoom call with my wife and a fertility expert, and we're going to start doing the IVF, I think.
IVF? Yeah, that's expensive, bro.
Well, see, it's tricky because I got the Writers Guild, through some writing, so I got the insurance on that, but only till June. So I really gotta get these eggs frozen and get this whole thing doing. And it's like there's already enough timing and pressure trying to make a kid. Now it's like the clock just got cranked forward, or else, then I'm gonna have to.
Are you ready to be a dad though?
I mean, you're a dad, so
yeah.
I mean, were you ready? Did you think you're ready?
I did think I was ready, but you're never ready. But you can think you're ready. I think and this is my advice. If you have more than one, you can have 50 because it's all the same. After one, the life changes. Like me and my wife are living a very lax life with one. One is easy.
Oh, you have one now?
I have 2.
You have 2 now?
My daughter just turned 2. And it becomes, I love it, but it becomes a lot because one sleeps. My friend told me, I've said this in past podcasts. My friend has like 5 kids. He goes, if you have 2, you can have 15 because you're always up. You're always doing something. They never sleep at the same time. And it's true. You would just be watching 2 kids instead of 1 kid. You know what I mean? So the more you have, it's fine. After 2, it's a total game changer from 1 to 2. So that's what I tell my friends. It's like 1, like my son's 4 now, almost 5. If we just have my son, it's Cake Street, But with my daughter, now you're doing all the things you did with him when he was 2. Like at 2 years old, they could walk right into a wall, or fall off a couch. So you're like, doing that. But it's very worth it.
I will say my brother has 2 now, and the amount of stress and general just like misery that I see emanating off him and his wife since the second one. And they love their kids. Their kids are great, but like
it's tough.
Yeah, no, they're definitely like, I always notice this when people have kids where they'll just start telling you how tough it is, but then they always end with, but it's great.
It's great.
It's such a weird,
because
it always like starts like, it's hell, but then
what makes
it. You should do it.
You know what makes it great is when they you had a hell of a day and they lay on you, look at you and go, I love you. I mean, it's just like,
it looks great. I
mean, they're your people.
Yeah.
That I'm still not over that. Like that's
like they're like you created them.
Yes,
these are your cluster of cells.
I'm still not over that.
Yeah.
I talk to my wife all the time. I go like, can you believe those are our people? Like we created them. That blows my mind.
Which must make it so much more fucked up when they hit that teenager phase and they hate you and you're like, dude, you are me, motherfucker. Like,
and my son looks like me and my daughter looks like my wife. So it's kind of like, it's weird when I get mad at my son. It always clicks in I'm really getting mad at myself because he looks like a mini me, not just looks like me with long hair.
Handsome guy with long hair, even better looking. Wow.
Way better looking. Like, Anyway, so good luck with that.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's definitely been like a lot of material I've gotten out of it. But it's kind of weird with like having a kid. It's like, it seems so natural, and it's just like, you know, it seems like it's just waiting for you behind that glass. Like anytime you want, all right, parenthood. And now to have to go through this has been like, oh, fuck, yeah.
Well, you know, I used to interview a lot of celebrities, and the biggest question they want you to know.
What do you mean used to?
Well, I mean, you're a celebrity. No, like on TV.
Did you just hear I'm getting free food?
You are a celebrity to me, Mo
free cafeteria food.
I still interview celebrities named Mo Mandel. But I would ask, you know, the question TV wants you to ask is, are you going to have more kids? And that's kind of a rude question because now after we had a kid or a couple, we have friends that can't have kids or had to go through IVF. And it's you shouldn't ask that question. You really shouldn't ask that question.
It's definitely very, I hate to use this word, but triggering for people, this fertility stuff. Like a lot of my material now is about that, and I'm hopefully going to put out a special soon that's a lot about this whole process. But in the beginning, when I was trying to work out how to talk about it, I mean, you could go wrong fast. Yeah. You know, if people think you're being heartless about it or callous, because obviously for me, we had a miscarriage and all that. Yeah. It's extremely traumatic and very painful. But like everything, like I always just try to figure out, well, how the hell do I say something funny about this? How do I need to, so I don't just go into a dark place whenever I think about it. And I do think it's like one of those amazing things where it's so common and so unspoken of, to the point where when after me and my wife had the miscarriage, you know, I ended up telling some friends about it. They're like, oh yeah, that happened to me too. I'm like, you could have told me so I wouldn't have felt so alone, you know, about this happening to us.
I've had several friends with miscarriages. Yeah. Like it's very common. It's very, I mean, knock on wood, our kids are fine, but it's so like, I couldn't imagine going through that. Like, it must be an unbelievable pain, especially when they have to give birth to the kid too. Did that happen to you?
Oh, well, no, we had to go in for a DNC, which is essentially like, you know, they say the baby's not viable. I don't know if this is this is a comedy podcast, right? I don't know.
No, but it's fine. Okay. We talk about real stuff, man.
Because I can't turn this into a laugh at the end of the story.
No, there's no way I'm going to go. Laugh.
Okay, good. Yeah. So we had to go in for a DNC, which is like it literally is like the same thing as an abortion to get, you know, and I had to hold her hand, you know. It's tough, rough, bro. Dude. It was rough. It was tough. It was big boy adult level stuff. Mm-hmm. You know.
That's like when you say I'm grown.
Yeah.
Like I'm an adult person.
And of course, this is just my experience for my wife. It was like, you know, it was 1,000 times worse because she went in for the first appointment. They're like, we don't know if it's viable, but you have to come back in 10 days. So it's like, oh my goodness. You got to wait 10 days and then come in there. And then, it's.
So I will say this. I've interviewed you a couple times and I've known you forever. This is the first time you're not angry. Like you have this vibe that you're always like uppity and angry. Is that just like,
uppity?
Well, not uppity. Uppity as in like intense. You're an intense dude. Okay. And this is the first time I've ever seen you like really chilled. Maybe it's Vegas doing that to you.
No, I don't know. Somebody else said that to me the other day. I don't, it's so weird.
You've grown out of it.
No, but I hate, you know, it makes me, it's weird to hear that because
it's so true though, bro.
I know it must be true, but I never really thought of myself as an angry person, but I know that's how I come across sometimes. Like it's certainly in stand-up and stuff. And it's weird, you know, I don't really know. Unfortunately, I don't think we can necessarily pick how we come across to people. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times people can seem one way and they're not the way, but I've heard of people say that. I'm like, I don't feel like I'm.
But I haven't seen you perform yet, so you may have the same style on stage.
No,
but right now, this is a very different Mo I'm interviewing. Even when you were helping me write, like checking over my pilot, you were very intense.
You feel like I was angry while helping you with your pilot?
This is wrong. Get it out.
Michael, this arc makes no sense. Tear it up. You're like, dude, what are you doing? It's my only script. What do you know? But that's so funny that you see it as that. I remember thinking that was like a very, I don't know, I was really excited for you. Your show.
You were. No, but I felt I don't know. Maybe
that's me,
maybe
dude.
You had a lot of caffeine.
No, it's me. I think my blood runs sort of hot in a way where I do come off like angry.
But this is the calmest I've ever seen. I like it. I like this look on you, Mo.
Who knew that all I needed to do was have a miscarriage, you know, to really turn my mood around?
Oh my God. See, and now what they're going to do is cancel me for laughing at that. Thanks, Mo.
See, you should have let me continue being angry.
I know, I should
but it
have.
is funny that someone said that. Now, you, on the other hand, always seem happy and positive and everything. And that's, I mean, I guess that must be how you really are. It's an amazing, if you really are as effusive and positive as you seem all the time, that would be.
I am. I'm this person, and it's kind of annoying.
And you've always been like that?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, maybe I'm an only child, or like I never had. And also, before I almost died from COVID, my life was great. Like I got a beautiful wife.
I feel like your life's been good for a while.
Yeah.
Since I've known you, you've been doing pretty
it's
well.
always been good. And even when I was on Chelsea and she was shitting on me, I was like, dude, I'm on the biggest rated that launched my comedy career.
Well, she would shit on you, but then you would look at the comments and while plenty of people would shit on you, a lot of people would love you too.
Yeah.
And then no one else would get mentioned at all.
Yeah,
You know, I was like, oh, okay, well,
That's
it's actually better to be in that position.
So half the people would hate me and the other half would defend me going, oh man, we love you. So it worked out for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So how'd you get on Chelsea? How was that?
Somebody
Were you
asked
a
me that.
writer on there?
No, somebody sent me the Improv. Yeah. And I think Michael Cox sent me the Improv, and then put me on there. Yeah, and that was awesome.
How long were you on for?
I did like 40 episodes.
Oh wow!
So I think like 3 years. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, that was definitely like, I still have a lot of like people who do come to my shows like know me from that.
Yeah.
You know? I used to get recognized all the time. It was pretty cool.
It's interesting how you can be on a sitcom, you can be on this or that, and nobody knows.
No one
But
knows.
for some reason, that was a lightning rod for comedians. To put how big that show was, I tell people, Chelsea was like American Idol for comedians.
Yeah.
Like you could go from obscurity. A lot of her writers quit and weren't even doing comedy anymore, and they were friends, and she got them back in the game. And they blew up, and they were selling out. I was selling out. I didn't even know how to do comedy. I was at 15 minutes, and I would bring like 5 comics and put myself in the middle.
I remember
that's comedy.
You would do like the Michael Yo and Friends show.
Friends show.
And you just
Every
like,
show was Friends show
yeah.
because I had no material. But that just shows you how big that show was, where a person like me that didn't know how to do comedy was putting myself in the middle of a show, doing 10 to 15 minutes. And bringing killers like you and Donnell Rollins did some, Brent Morin and people like that. But that's how big that show was.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because that path into comedy, I feel like is the path now. You know, like I feel like getting popular and then really starting to do comedy is going to be the path, I think, into stand-up more. Because I see it happening with podcast guys and YouTube guys. They're like, oh, well, fuck, I'm famous. People will pay to come see me. I better learn how to do this.
Yeah, but I still believe, I've seen some big, I still believe there's a big difference between a comedian and a podcast. It's like anything. There's a big difference between a comedian trying to be a comedian and then finding his voice. And you see the same thing with podcasters they're trying to do comedy, but they haven't found their voice yet. You still got to go through it. Like they'll pack out shows.
But if you go through it though, like I'm saying, like if you just show up and say, I'm going to do a weekend and sell some tickets and bomb and take your money, then that's one thing. But if you're like, well, people want to see me, and you put in the effort, like I generally think you have to be funny to be able to do this, but it's a muscle. I mean, I see people get better and they figure it out, and it's like an intellectual exercise. If you see somebody at a comedy club, you're like, after a while, unless you're really not cut out for it, you're like, oh, I get it. I see what's going on. I see how it is. And then, and if you're already an entertainer in some regard, you already kind of have a shtick, that you could lean into. I mean,
well, I was comfortable on stage at the beginning because I did radio. So we talk. I tell everybody, I think radio is a great profession for a stand-up because you have to paint pictures with words. And that's what stand-up is, except they see you. So if you can make somebody laugh and they can't see you, you'll be able to make somebody laugh when they can see you. So that's why, there's so many great comedians around me on that show. It's like, why don't I try it? And then Joe Coy was like, I'm going to take you under my wing, and took me on tour for like a year. Yeah. And I learned from him, and then he kind of let me do my own thing. And
Joe Coy is still the nicest person ever,
nicest.
Dude. Like he was headlining the Chase Center, it was like where the Warriors play, and my parents, of course, are, big Warriors fans growing up in the Bay Area. I don't say, of course, like my parents know, people know about my parents' sports picks. But, and my mom goes, oh man, Joe Coy's headlining the Chase Center. She goes, he's always talked about more personal stuff than you in his act. I'm like, wow, that's all that's keeping me from 20,000 tickets in one night, huh? And I texted Joe that. He like immediately, he's like, oh my God, I love your mom. Cause she saw him like, when I used to open for him.
Well, you know what I think it is? And that's what Joe told me is, here's what's so funny. A lot of comedians I saw like talk trash about Joe. Now they love him, right? Not you, of course. I'm just talking about when I came up in the club, when I would mention, oh, I'm touring with Joe, they were like, oh, he's not a comedian. He entertains. He like does all this other stuff. I go, but you don't understand. When you leave a Joe Coy show, you felt like it doesn't even feel like a stand-up show. Like you've witnessed a spectacle. Like it's amazing.
Yeah.
Even that. And he's always told me the one thing I came up with, listening to Joe and comedians I respect, people outgrow jokes, but they don't outgrow you. So if the comedy is about you, they want to hear the next part in your life about it. You know, you become a real life sitcom.
And also his personality is so contagious.
Yes.
You know, like I remember when I opened for him in Sacramento, like he would do like 30 minutes on what we had done that day. And like it wasn't all constructed and all that, but it was just funny, just the way he talked about it, you know. Like I remember thinking this. Like I did Chelsea one time with Natasha Leggero and TJ Miller. And afterwards they both said to me, they were like, oh man, you write such good jokes. Jokes are so well written. I was like, well, yeah, I have to. I don't have the just crazy dynamic personality that you guys have.
TJ is off like
both of them though. Their personalities are just. I mean, they have great jokes too, and they write great jokes as well. But they're just these bigger than life personalities that if you don't have that, you're like, well, you better have some jokes, or else you're just a guy sitting on stage.
Well, at least you didn't get shitted on for 7 or 8 years.
Dude, I was always jealous of that. I was like, fuck, dude, she's shitting on you. Because she's shitting on Michael Yo, but she's putting something out there. You know what I mean? Like, there's something for people to grab onto.
That's true. That's true. So now, I know you also written a lot of TV shows. Where are you in that world? Do you have any projects coming up, or what are you writing now?
I've been writing movies. I sold a movie, an action movie, right before COVID. That I wrote during COVID, and then I got another one option that's like they're going out. They have a director attached. They're going out to actors now. So I'm just like playing that game right now. I mean, that is a very slow moving process.
Yes,
you try to get a director attached. We finally did. It took a lot of rewrites, and he put me through the ringer of rewriting the script.
The director.
Yeah. And the script is a lot better now. I mean,
is it a big director?
Yeah. He's got a lot of he's done some big movies in the last, I mean, he's been around for a long time, and he just did one that was like a huge hit on the streamers and stuff. So he's done some big studio comedies. So are these projects, when you write a project, do you try to put yourself in it or no? No, not for these are big budget kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like I don't. Even a smaller role? Yeah, I mean, if we got there, you know, I'll be waiter number 3. I'll be Angry Jew 5. You know, I'll find a way to get in there. But yeah, so I never really gone this work. So he put me through like the ringer of so many rewrites, and as much as it was like, oh my gosh, there's so much work. It got a lot better. So I'm pretty excited. You know, we'll hopefully we'll get somebody attached. We just went out to a big actor today, who's like one of my favorite like comedic actors right now. But it's definitely like, it's such a different process from stand-up, because stand-up, it's like you could write something today and then you get the validation of it tonight. Yeah. You know what I mean? And whereas with like movies in particular, it's like, you just got to like do the work and then just be like, all right, so someday this will all come together, hopefully. You know? So what is the different muscle? Do you feel like, because of course they're two different things, stand-up comedy and writing a script, but how big a difference is the muscle since you do both of them? You know, I think it's much more mathematical scripts. Yeah. I mean, there has to be, everything has to connect. There has to be a reason for absolutely everything. I mean, stand-up is that to a sense, but like, for instance, in stand-up, you know, we're here doing 50 minutes tonight. If I wanted to, I wouldn't do it. But if I wanted to, I could probably just find someone in the front row and do a solid 10 minutes and get some laughs off that, and then do a closer and people are like, that was good. Yeah. You can't just sort of bullshit for 10 minutes on a 90-page script. Right? You can't riff your way through like a character's arc. You know what I mean? So it's very like specific. And what I like about it though is like, you know, I think we all try to write more intelligently and more in-depthly about our lives, but it's hard. With stand-up, it's hard to keep the laughs per minute that you need in a nightclub to keep people laughing. Yep. And so I feel like with writing, like, I don't know, it just allows you to kind of like let it breathe a little bit more, and to kind of like, you know, I'm writing about fucking helicopter chases and fucking shootouts. It's like all the stuff I love to watch, you know, it's fun. I feel like a little kid playing action figures, like smashing it together, you know? So but at the same time, you don't get the immediate satisfaction. So I'm glad I do both, you know? How depressing is the wrong word, but when you finally finish a script and it doesn't get picked up,
is that just a blow to you, or do you feel like, you know what, I'm still in the game?
I mean, it's kind of like, if you show up to a comedy club and you didn't sell a lot of tickets, like it's like everything. It's horrible, right?
Yeah,
it feels
worst.
terrible, and you go through the whole like, what am I doing this for? But I think if you could see the progression, you're getting better. At least there's that,
Yeah.
So if I could tell the script's better than the last one, or the way I did the scene is better than the last one. It's the same way I look at my stand-up act. Like I don't sell a lot of tickets. I'm not famous yet, and I don't understand why, and it annoys me, and I should be more. But I see my acts getting better. I see the next hour I'm going to put out this year is better than the last one.
Yep.
So if I can ever learn how to make a good TikTok dance, I'll probably be a pretty good touring comedian. Since that's kind of what it all matters.
I told my agents to stop sending me numbers, because knowing numbers before I get to a club stress me. I don't want to know who's showing up, because this is the last time I did it. I went to a market, and Monday they sent me the numbers, and it was really low. But I sold out that weekend because all the tickets sold Thursday and Friday.
Sure.
So I'm like, why? Don't stress me out. If there's 10 people there when I get there, okay, fine. But worrying about 10 people all week, oh my God.
And they'll be like, well, so maybe you should tweet. You're like, yeah, I've been tweeting, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
I can't go through. It's literally mentally exhausting for me. And I love to see new headliners go through it too, because it's so great being a feature.
Oh, people don't know how good it is.
Oh, you're in the prime spot.
Yeah.
Joe Coy was like, I never let people feature. They host and feature because I want them to go through everything. I'm not going to just give somebody a great spot.
Dude, talk about how far you can, I think we were talking about this earlier about how far you can go and all that stuff. I remember opening for Joe Coy in 2009.
Yeah.
At the Punchline in Sacramento, and he was not selling out. And some of the shows were like not even that many people were there. And I remember Daniel Tosh was doing a theater nearby, and he came by and was just like busting Joe's balls about it. I was like, whoa, this place is packed. And it was like, and yeah.
Now look at him.
And
that's what comedy is, man. He's been doing it for 30 years. Some people just blow up out of nowhere, but man, it's a thing where if you can get to a point where you can like really support you and your family from it, it's the best job in the world because you control it. One thing I didn't like about Hollywood, but I'm still in Hollywood, you could get 8 no's at castings during the day, but going on stage and crushing, it makes you not fall into the depressive mode because you're like, they just haven't caught up because this is the people they're trying
it reminds you that you're good at something.
Yes.
I mean, and that to piggyback to what you're saying about like the writing stuff, like, if no one bought your script or no one's interested in your script, like, but if you go up in front of people, you're like, I am good. Like I'm good at something. Like these people are laughing, it is a good reminder. Now, my problem with stand up though, is it's like, but why don't the people laughing and liking you, why aren't they then clicking on the social media links? You know what I mean? That's what always gets me with stand-up, where I'm like, okay, but if they're not going to the Instagram, where's the disconnect between laughing here and going and click?
Because people don't want to work. It's kind of like, what I learned is you have to really, like, they have to really be emotionally involved in, like, emotionally attached to you to actually go follow you. And this, like, I talk so much about my family on stage, they want to go see my family. So literally, I see after every show, even if I'm a promoter or not, I get 5 to 10 people, and this is here where sometimes 60 to 100 people here. You're getting 10% of the audience if 100 people here following you after a show, just because they want to see what you talked about. Now, if I was up here just saying jokes, I don't believe people, and I could be wrong, but I don't believe people attach themselves to jokes. I believe, you know what I mean? Like if you're funny, I don't see people go and follow you because you really, unless you're funny giving personal information. But if you're just like a boom, boom, boom.
It goes either way, right? You look like a Mark Norman or a Daniel Tosh.
But what that does work is on social media where people go to see him. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like because it's all about 60-second clips. See, I believe like in a club, it works better, the personal, But on TikTok and all the socials, they want to see something funny in 15 to 30 seconds. And that's something that I can't do. You know what I mean? I can make you involved in my family and all that in a show, But I can't give you something you want in like 36 unless you just take a quick snippet out of one of my stories.
How do you think people are going to react when they find out that your family is actually just actors that you've cast to help your stand-up career?
I think I'm going to let people know that about 2-3 years from now.
You've got I know your daughter's only pretty young, but has she signed an NDA already?
She did.
Okay, so
and my son.
Okay,
and my
that's
son.
good.
So,
good.
you know, and it's pretty great that we found
nice.
a kid that looked just like me.
Because I remember seeing that Craigslist ad, casting multiracial, adorable family.
And white wife.
My white wife.
And
you,
white wife.
my infant.
Well, my white wife, she's casted too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know,
no
I'm
white
aware.
woman would ever want to go out with me for real.
Well, I'm not going to weigh in on that one way or the other. I don't even know what that means necessarily.
No, but it's great that. But that's what I'm saying. There's different ways of doing comedy, but I could never. Like there was one comedian here that told like 20 jokes in a minute. Or like 15 minutes set, they probably did 2 jokes every minute, 30 jokes in 15 minutes. I was like, dude, my mind would explode even attempting to do something. I'll do a story that's 5 minutes, but giving you like a boom, boom punchline, on a whole different, oh man. I respect that. I could never do that, but I respect that.
Yeah, Josh Wolf, I know he's a mutual friend of ours from Chelsea and everything, but he's also a great storyteller.
Yeah.
He can milk a story for a long time and really build it.
You know what I love about stories, though? You can find, there's so many beats, because you'll say something funny, and then you'll be like, oh, let me analyze that. And then you kind of break that down, and then you're like, oh, let me, because there's one part of my new special where I go, I talk about how I got my antibody test, and the doctor, like my antibodies are at 2,500. And the normal rate is at 20, right? So he goes, you're 120 times more antibodies than you need. And I said, I hung up the phone, looked at my wife and said, I'm a goddamn superhero. And then I was like, okay. And then I'll go, I'm the half Black Panther. So then I'm like, okay, that's funny. And then I go, do you realize I could sneeze on someone and cure them? So that's what I love about you find a joke, you find another joke, you find another.
Right.
And then I go to the front row, shake my hand. And then they shake my hand and go, you're vaccinated. You know, and then fist bump, booster. Right. But I could have kept going though. You know what I mean? So it's a thing where
it's just find a way to keep turning the screw. Like just find another little place to go with it.
What's another one? Because once you tell your story, it's all about the quick hits after that. So it's like I tell a story, you get the big punchline, and then boom, boom, boom. You give them like 2 or 3 more. And then it's kind of like, oh, okay. You know, because you grinded it all the way out. And that's what I've learned that I didn't have the first special, that I've learned in this one. You know?
If you have that many antibodies, you have that because you got so sick? Mm-hmm. I was going to say, who were you hanging around with that you still got that sick despite all those antibodies? Like an elephant with COVID?
No, I got it, but since I got it so bad, literally, I remember they tested me right after, and the tests weren't accurate, but they go, by the ART test right now, it looks like you'll be good for 3 years. Like your antibodies are so high. And they've gone down over 2 years, and I'm still at 2,500.
And how do you think people are going to react when they find out you didn't actually get COVID and you've been admitted for this?
I think they're gonna be pretty.
And you had all the doctors sign an NDA.
Yeah, my life, it's an acting job. You know, I'm a con man. I'm like, what's the name? Twitter. What?
And how do you think they're going to react when they find out you're actually Hispanic and you're not Asian and Black and Asian? How do you think that's going to go?
I'm Asian. No, have you seen that Tinder swindler show?
I've heard of that.
Oh my God, this dude, he's just a total scam artist, just like me. I'm not Black and Asian. Those aren't really my parents.
I've been watching a lot of those con men documentaries because this just happened somewhere near me where this woman was convinced she was in the DEA for a year, and she was doing like ride-alongs with somebody. She thought she was getting trained to be in the DEA, and then she found out that she was just like hanging around some psychopath who had like a cop shirt that he bought at Walmart or something.
It's scary how people. Like, and this is what you got to be careful for, because if you victim blame, people get mad. But it's kind of like at some time you got to use common sense. You know,
they don't. When you listen to that Dirty John podcast, you're like, okay, how many red flags did you need? People somehow. But I get it though, right? I get it. Like in a certain sense, when people come to me with like business opportunities, sometimes. Like I've had people like present me like, okay, this is an investment thing. And they talk about how much money they have. And eventually I figure out like, okay, this person's kind of full of shit. They're trying to get my money. They're not trying to give me their money. But
because you have common sense.
But there's a certain few days that go by where I'm responding to the emails and I'm like, whoa, all right. And so I guess if the person's really good, maybe you never turn that corner where you're like, wait a minute.
Tinder swindler, what would happen is he would fly these girls in put them up in cars, private jets, all that stuff, right? And then they would go back, and then he would ask money from. Oh, he would send pictures of a bodyguard being beat up, and like, oh, they attacked me. My enemies are after me. I need money. And how much? Oh, $40,000. First of all, like, and these women are sending it, but then it goes down to sometimes people, men and women, want to be in love so bad they'll do anything for it. And he was just taking advantage of that. But I still say, you got to have some common sense. So one woman sent $250,000 to him, but it wasn't just one take. It was like, kept asking and asking.
I got to get back on Tinder.
So what he was doing was using people's money, other women's money, to take out other girls.
Right. It's like a pyramid scheme.
Yeah. It's a Ponzi scheme or whatever they call it. So
it's pretty wild, man. There's some, I think it's, God, what is it? It's on documents, like the Hollywood, something called like the Hollywood Queen or something. There's this person who turned out to be like, in Malaysia or somewhere like that, where they were doing all these different voices and convincing all these young artists and screenwriters that they were being employed. And they're like, all right, you just fly yourself to Malaysia and then send me all the receipts. I need all that. I'm going to reimburse you and all this stuff. And they got these people flying around writing like scripts about stuff. And the people were like, they were giving me notes that were actually pretty good. Like, it's kind of bizarre how committed they were to the con.
But what was the con at the end?
At the end of it was just somebody who wanted to
I saw. He
have
just
people
scripts.
do stuff, basically. Like, just you're sitting there. I mean, if you think if you're sitting in some apartment in Malaysia and you have people in LA like flying around the world and sending you things, I mean, it must be this insane sense of power. Like, think of the power you have when you can get someone to be like, you think of the things in your head, and boom, now you're boosted, and you get them to react. Yeah. Imagine if you're getting them to fly across the world and write you an entire screenplay. It's nuts.
But wouldn't they look this guy up? That's what I'm saying. There's so much information because that's the thing. There's so much information. You can get information on something, like, is this guy really a director? Is it, like they would
now you can, but just imagine how easy it must have been to con people in like the 1800s. You just show up, you're like, yeah, I'm the sheriff they ordered from Tuscaloosa. They're like, well, okay,
he's the
sheriff. Or we're going to send a letter. It'll take 3 months to get back.
Dude, you imagine those times? Like, you were waiting on a letter, bro. Like, literally a couple months.
What I was, how did anyone get caught committing a crime back then?
Oh, they would kill somebody, and then they would send like a posse after you. So like,
but
whatever
how did they know you did it? Like, it must have been so
somebody
easy
would
to
see it.
But if they didn't see it, where's the proof?
You would never know. Well, they would see this one guy that was in their town, and they'd be like, well, that guy must have did it.
Because I was watching something on, like, I think it was in Belize or somewhere like that, where this murder happened. The guy was like, the cop was like, we don't have DNA down here. He's like, and even in Mexico, I think they solve like 10% of murders. Like, it's very low.
Well, because it's also mafia related too.
Related, but also like, it's just like, they probably don't have access to all the, they don't have access to all the DNA and stuff. So if you're back in like the 1800s, I mean, you know how dumb you got to be to get committing a murder? Like, you just wait till it's dark and you're getting away with it,
Oh, back in the day.
Everyone's wearing the same little hat with a buckle. Like, eyewitness testimony is not going to, be that effective.
That's right. And everybody's pretty much white, right, that in places of power. So
probably what they did is they would just be like, all right, guys, someone got murdered. Who do we want to kill? Well, let's just say they did it.
Exactly. What black guy did
it? I mean,
exactly. See, I love making Mo uncomfortable. He's like, well, I'm not saying that.
I don't even know what you mean by black. Is that a color? I don't see color.
I don't see color. I hate when people say that. I've had people say, I don't see color. I was like, oh my God, you're the problem. You are the problem. The people that don't.
We're nervous, man. We're nervous right now.
Don't say I don't see color, because then you say that's the most ridiculous. I had a friend say that. I go, that's even more prejudiced than the other things you can say. I don't see color. Oh, so you're not acknowledging me or what's happened because you don't see color? Come on, stop.
Who is it? Speaking of great comedians, Mitch Hedberg had a joke where he was like, when people try to say they're not racist, they're like, hey man, black, white, green, purple, I don't care. It's like, well, purple and green, you should care, dude. I mean, that means they're like a monster. I mean, fuck the purple people.
Right? We don't like the purple people. All right, Mo, how can people follow you, bro?
The Real Mo Mandel on Instagram and Mo Mandel on YouTube. That's where I'm putting out new stuff every week.
All right. Also, check out my new special March 15th. It will drop. Subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. Follow Mo Mandel. We'll see you next time. Later.
Thanks, man.